Right, guys, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 game keycards and why so many people are annoyed about them and why so many people are concerned about them. So, first of all, some Nintendo Switch 2 games are going to be coming on a cartridge that is not an actual cartridge. It is basically a keycard to unlock the game via the internet on your Switch. Now, what makes this different to a current Switch cartridge, for example, is the fact that there is actually no data on the cartridge. What it is basically is this little code that when it's inserted, it will unlock the game via the internet on your system. Now, there is a plus to this. There is a plus to the game keycard, and that is the fact that you can then trade those cartridges and obviously resell them if you don't want them anymore. You can obviously trade them with friends and lend them to friends or whatever, and they can play your games and whatever. That's a nice feature, I do think, but then there is nothing in that you can't do with a physical game you can't do a physical game. Like, the whole point of the keycard literally just seems to me like they were too lazy to print some cartridges, or they couldn't afford to print some cartridges. If you actually go over the list of games that are on the keycard so far, you see quite a few games from like Sega with like Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, Sonic X Shadows Generations, and Yakuza 0. I think it was. I know there's an Yakuza game, not entirely sure which game it is, but there's a Yakuza game. And then obviously there are some other games, like I think the Bravely Default game that Square Enix is remastering, that's going to be on the one. I know Street Fighter 6 is going to be on one. Like, these games could easily, have had proper physical cartridges and physical editions and that, but they've chosen to go with the keycard option. Now, there was rumours that Nintendo was forcing developers to do keycards because obviously, there's something about them having the cartridge be 64 gigabytes, and if they don't want a 64 gigabyte cartridge, then obviously they could just do the keycard as an option. But I think it comes down to obviously a lot of publishers and developers not wanting to actually spend the resources to actually make it to actually get the cartridge running on them and the cartridge actually existing itself, but they still want to have the physical release. Now, the Switch got a lot of criticism. The Nintendo Switch got a lot of criticism for having a lot of codes being boxes where you go into a game shop and you could pick up a case, and think, oh, this game's going to be great and whatnot. And then when you give it to the guy at the till or the woman at the till, they give you back a different case with the game in it, and it's just a sealed box with a game code, and it says download code only on it. It's like, it's kind of annoying. It's happened to me quite a few times, but that's just how it is. But then I also got to think, how does this affect collectors, Because to a lot of people, these games now, it's very similar to having an online game, where when the server for that service goes down, that means the game's basically irrelevant. Because let's give an example. So the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U lost their eShops recently. Well, I say recently, it's probably about a year up until the time of this video, but they lost their eShops, meaning that you can't then re-download anything from those stores. Now, will that happen with the Switch 2? When the Switch 2 obviously is phased out and their eShop shut down, will Nintendo just bin it? Like, will these game keycards just become not available to work? Will they, find a way to live on? How is that all going to work? Now, I know that's obviously thinking like at least a decade in the future when it comes to obviously the lifespan of the Switch 2. But it's a question we've got to ask, and really Nintendo hasn't seemed to really given a solid answer. They've given a list of games that aren't going to be on game keycards, and it looks like Nintendo themselves aren't doing game keycards. It seems to be a thing for third parties a lot, but how long till that changes? How long till Nintendo starts putting their own games on game keycards and you have to download it all, and basically it functions as a physical game without actually having the data on the game, therefore meaning when the online stores shut down, the online servers shut down, the game is dead. Obviously, it's lost. I have no idea how Nintendo's going to deal with this. I think they should, to be fair, I have no idea. I think they should just print cartridges. That's just a common sense thing to do. CD Projekt Red has been able to get Cyberpunk 2077 running on a cartridge with all the data on the cartridge and DLC. So why can't Nintendo and all their partners like Capcom and whatever? I have no idea. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. If you agree, let me know. Subscribe, like, share, all that stuff, guys. We've nearly got 1,000 subscribers, so please help with that. I've been ECM signing out. Peace.